Hey, what's up, guys? Alright, I got another little project to work on, and I thought I'd share it with you. It's not a very big job. It's actually just a pretty simple machining operation. I got to make a couple threaded fittings for a customer, and it was actually pretty funny. He called me the other day, and this is something that I did for him probably 5 or 6 years ago at least, maybe more than that. But when he called me, he started telling me what he needed, and I remember doing a job like what he was describing. But he was, yeah, you remember I was the guy that came in and had the old Plymouth Fury, you know, the car with the big wings on the back. I thought that was pretty funny because, yeah, I do remember him, and he's got one of those old Plymouth Furies that he drives around. This is an older guy too, but he what it is, I guess he's got an old house, and it's got old plumbing in it, and the pipes where the faucets are for the bathtub, that's got the two separate faucets, is an odd thread size. Now it may be a common thread size for plumbing, or maybe back whenever they did this, I'm not really sure, but it's 1 3/16 18, which is this here. That's not a common thread that you normally cut, but this this is a sample piece here for the thread. This may be something that he was using, but what he wants to do is eliminate using this thread. He wants to plug that hole and have a 1/4 inch pipe, where he can use 1/4 inch pipe going into that pipe, instead of having to go in and tear the wall out and redo all the piping. And he told me that the last two that I made for him worked perfect and worked good, and he liked it, and now he wants me to make a couple more for his other bathroom. So what I got to make basically is this piece here. That's 1 3/16 18, and it's just going to be basically just a plug, and it's going to have 1/4 inch MPT. And that's a little sketch that he drew when he came in. That's basically what it's going to look like. Just very simple job, nothing hard about it. Typically when I do threading, I like to have a nut or whatever the piece is mating to check it with whenever I'm threading. I want to make sure that piece screws on there. It always makes me kind of nervous having to thread something and send it out without knowing if it's going to screw together, and you have to take more precautions when you do it that way. I've got thread triangles that I use. I got the thread wires, but I don't really like having to use those. I like to have a gauge, but this is 1 3/16 18. So what I did, I went over to my bins where I keep a lot of my tools along the wall there, and I got a bin here, and I wrote on it odd size taps, and I got all kinds of just odd size taps in there. Something that you rarely use. Some we've had to buy over the years for a special job. Here's a 7/8 18. What is this one here? This is a 1 1/4 16. And there's a lot in here that's just different sizes. There's a 1/2 12. You don't see a 1/2 12 too often, but I got a 1/2 12 in here. But anyway, I started digging through here because I wanted to see if I happen to have a tap that size. And lo and behold, I got one. 1 3/16 18 NEF, and I'm assuming that's National Extra Fine. If I'm reading that wrong, you guys can correct me, but I believe that's what that is. So what I want to do, I want to make a gauge since I got a tap, I'm going to make me a thread gauge. I'll take a piece of stock, I'll drill it, bore it, and tap it with this, and have a gauge, and I'll check it with this. I'll see if this screws in there, and if this screws in there good, then when I make the two plugs, I'll use that thread gauge to check that thread. And hopefully it'll work out fine that way. The tap looks like it's been sitting for a long time. It's still sharp, it's just got a lot of dust on it. So I'm just gonna wipe it down real good and try to just clean it up, make it look a little better. But he brought in his own piece of stock, which is pretty cool. Not a lot of people do that. This is 1.25 inches of aluminum. So I'll take this, I'll chuck it up, turn it down, thread it. I'll drill and tap one. I'll part it off. Repeat the process. Part another one off. So I thought it'd be a little interesting for you guys to see. So I'm going to go ahead and film this one. We'll go ahead and get started on it. Alright, I'm getting ready to make the nut to gauge the thread width. I got the tap cleaned up. So the first thing I got to do is I want to figure out what the tap size is for this tap hole size, should I say. Now I can go into the machinist handbook and look in the charts and figure it out that way, but one of the things that I was going to share with you that I do is I've got an app on my phone that I use that helps me figure this stuff out really fast. I use an iPhone. I've got an iPhone 4S. And what I was going to show you I do, I got a bunch of machine shop apps here. I've got one here called iMachinist. Go to threading and drilling and tap drill size. And what you do is you punch in your major diameter, your percentage of thread, and your threads per inch. You hit calculate, and it tells you what the tap size is. And it doesn't matter if it's a drill size. I mean, you can always bore it to whatever size you need it to be. So I'm going to go in there. I'm going to put 1.1875 for the diameter. I'll hit 75 for the percentage of thread. And we're going to hit 18 for the threads per inch and hit calculate. And it says 1.133375 is your tap drill size. So I'm just going to say 1.133. So that's what I'm going to make it to. I'm going to write it down here. 1.133. Just a little bit over 1 1/8 inches. So if you guys got a smartphone or an iPhone, this is actually a really handy app called iMachinist. Got a lot of different stuff on there. It's pretty cool. There's a few other ones on here too that I got. Machinist Pro, Machinist Mate. There's one that calculates metal weights, which comes in handy when you're trying to figure how much to charge for a piece of material, because we always charge by the pound. We don't charge by the foot. Or I look up what a piece of material weighs and calculate it that way. All right, so I know I gotta bore that piece of stock to 1.133 to tap it. And what I found was, let me see. No, I already got it over here on the lathe. Let's see. Found a piece of heavy wall tubing that's 1 inch inside and 1 5/8 outside. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to bore this to that tap size we just figured and tap it. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is going to face it off. a little chamfer. You always got to make it shiny. All right, just got a little 3/4 boring bar, high-speed tool bit, little chip breaker tool. And I'm just going to kind of eyeball to death there. Just got me a little indicator with a 0-point set. Slow her down a little bit. Not trying to overdo it, I'm just taking 50 thousandths a cut there. Should put us close to 1 inch 100. A nice smooth finish too. One inch 99. So that leaves us about 34 thousandths to come off. I think what I'll do is take about I'm going to take a 20 thousandths cut, and then we'll take a final cut. There's all them chips. All right, 1 inch, 133. What I usually do on my tool bits for the, you know, coming in at 45, I like to grind the other side. Just have a square grind on it there and use it for chamfering. I might have to pick it up just a little bit. I don't have any relief. Yeah. Where'd my handle go? Take it and just pick it up a little, tighten it up. Nice little chamfer. And let me get her set up for tapping. Alright, this is my setup to where I'm going to tap it this time. I'm just using a live center in the tailstock. I'll use my left hand to turn the wrench, my right hand to keep the quill moving in on the center of the tap there. I'm going to try to get you set up on a different angle where you can actually see me doing this. Alright, give it a shot. Shouldn't be too hard to tap because that's a pretty fine pitch on there. I've had to do this countless times with some very coarse taps and it ain't fun. You just want just enough pressure just to keep the tap centered. You don't want to push it because then it makes it bind up. Bottom. One thing cool about this lathe, it got a little reverse jog button on it I can push. Come on. Well, let's see if this piece fits. It being plastic, I don't know how it's going to perform. It actually fits in there though. Look at that. Like it was made for it. It's just a little bit loose there when you first started in there because they've got this, I measured the OD of this plastic and it's actually like 15 thousandths small. But we know that's what the thread size is. So now we can part it off. I'm getting ready to part it off. I'm just going to scale out about 5/8. Just dial ball it, it's close, nothing critical. What you should always do when you're parting something off, at least it's what I do anyways, back off and file that sharp edge off there. Now I'll probably end up chucking this and chamfering that back side. You know, you can chamfer both sides, but sometimes you're parting something off and you're not planning on putting it back in the machine, so that's just a quick way to get rid of that sharp edge. I missed it. Y'all didn't see that. I always try to catch them. Alright, there's the shop made thread gauge. And there's the sample thread. It actually fits really nice. So now I got a nut that I can check these things with whenever I thread it, just to make sure that I know that it'll screw together, because this piece screws into his pipe now. So I know if my piece will screw in there, then it should work. Evidently I did it right last time, because he said they work good. I decided I want to use my hardened collet for the aluminum bar stock. I haven't shown that yet, and I like using it when I can. It's an 1¼ inch collet. Something else that my granddad bought from the Navy base when he worked out there. Got a full set of collets too. That should give us plenty there. Inch 182. That'd be good. I normally like to turn my stuff 5 thousandths under. And we'll get ready to do some threading now. Alright, I'm getting ready to do some threading, and I thought I'd show you my little chart that I made up a while back. And it is the chart to tell you the depth of feed tool when cutting American threads. This is a chart that I made from an old, worn out piece of paper that we used to use that was always folded up in Dad's toolbox. And you can see that I've actually got a few numbers missing because I couldn't read them. And it was folded up on the crease line. You see I'm missing 10, so I don't have anything for 10. But most of the threads that you cut are on here, and what I go off of is feed depth, compound at 30 degrees. You go down here to 18. So I'm going to be dialing on the compound around 41 to 42 thousandths. Now, this gets you close. You don't always want to use this for an exact depth feed. I mean, you want to sneak up on this. You know you're going to be about that, so you get up close to it. You start checking it with your gauge. Sometimes you got to go just a little past that. Just depends on what you're doing. Everything's a little different, but anyway, that's a little chart I thought I'd show you. The double depth of threads right here, and that's always handy to look at whenever you want to cut a relief or a thread, do an undercut. You look at this, and I mean, same things on your little fishtails too. You can go by that. But anyway, I just wanted to share this little chart with you I made. All right, here we go. Get everything set up. Get my zero position. Touch off with a compound, set 0. CD2. Just going to dial in a thousandths and take a skim cut and we'll check it. Something that I was taught real early on. Don't matter how many times you cut a thread, you should always check it. And it looks like I'm on it. It's a good habit to do, is take a light skin cut across there and check it to make sure you got your machine set right, because I have killed a job before where I had the lever one notch away from where it was supposed to be, and I cut the wrong pitch and killed a job because of that. So you should always check your thread before you cut it. Kind of file the top, get the little burrs off. I haven't quite gone to the depth yet. This is usually kind of standard practice for me. Just I get close and I start checking it. I guess it's just the way I learned along the way, because I had my share of mess ups too. All right, it's going, but I'm not quite there yet because it's getting tight. So I need to take a little bit more. I'm not quite to that 41 yet on the depth. Close, but not quite there. That's just a spring pass there. Yeah, that's a good fit, but I'm not getting any rock in it. And that may be a little bit tight on his end. I don't know. I mean, that's a close fit. I think I want to take a couple more just really light, like spring passes, just to give it just a little bit more clearance. All right, that feels better. Got just a little bit of rock in it, and I think that'll work. I'll hit it with some of that gray Scotch-Brite just to kind of give it a nice soft polish. All right, getting ready to drill and tap. I'm just going to use my spring center for this. I got a little pipe that I'm just going to use for a gauge there. And go a little bit deeper. Alright, I'm happy with that. make them about 5/8 wide. That's what he wanted. Just kind of eyeball it with the scale. There it is. Just got to repeat the process for the second one. Alright, got them done. And that's it. That's the two plugs. This is just a just a little 1/4 inch pipe nipple I use for gauging. And that one screws in good, and that one screws in good. I hadn't even checked the nuts again, but or the nut on them, but ain't really got much to hold on to. All right, that one screws on. Got one more. That's it. All right. That's another job done. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one too. That's just a pretty simple little job. Kind of common for me. I mean, we get a lot of people that come in just need little things made, and you know, this older guy, I'm not trying to hurt him, rip him off or nothing. You know, he needs his stuff made so he ain't got to tear his wall out. You know, I gave him a quote, told him I'd probably have an hour in the whole job, and that's it. He even supplied his own piece of stock. And I was just going to say again, you know, don't forget when you guys are threading, you know, always check your thread pitch. Take you a skim cut across there, you know, just you know, 1 maybe 2 thousandths on the dial, and check your pitch and make sure that you got your machine set right. Not that you're not cutting, don't know how to cut a thread. It's just that you want to make sure the machine is cutting the proper pitch so you don't screw a job up and have to start all over. I mean, because that sucks having to do that. I've been there and done it, and learned a long time ago how to keep from doing that. So anyway, that's it for this job. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you around soon.